Let's go to Emily in Atlanta, Georgia. Hey, Emily, what's up?
Hi, Dr. John. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Excellent. What's up? How can I help?
Okay, so my question is, how do I keep my marriage fun and silly, spontaneous, and whatnot when
Hold
my
on.
husband?
Those were a bunch of words for sexy. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
How do you keep your marriage sexy when?
When my husband is constantly making jokes or innuendos that make me feel uncomfortable because my kids are around.
Gross. Why does he do that?
Our kids are really young.
Okay.
We have 3 kids, 2 and under.
Okay.
And so I think it stems from because, well, before we had kids, I mean, we just lived on our own, and it was, 2 years ago, we could say whatever we wanted whenever we wanted.
Yeah.
But now I think my husband still lives in that our kids don't understand. But I guess I have a fear that because we have all boys, that they are going to pick up on this and think it's okay to treat women in a way that makes them feel uncomfortable. Or, make comments about what they're wearing and not understand that that's just not what I'm allowed to do because I'm a man or something like that.
Gotcha.
And so I've explained this to my husband, and so it seems like it's a roller coaster. Like, he'll do better for a little while, and then he'll kind of revisit this behavior, so to speak, where I'm like, dude, I want to be comfortable in my house. And I'm not comfortable making these jokes around my kids. Even though they're not receptive to it now, I just think that one day they will be.
Sure.
And I'm afraid that this problem, so to speak, won't be handled by then. And then it feels like it will be too late that this will be ingrained in them.
Okay. So let me ask you a few clarifying questions. Number one, thanks for articulating that. There's a lot there. Before you had kids.
Yes.
If he told you something that he thought you were sexy, or you wore something and he's like, man, I got 5 minutes if you got 5 minutes. He was in it. Did you like that? Or, was that something that was attractive to you? You liked being your husband thinking you were sexy and wanting to be with you? Or did that make you uncomfortable then?
At that point, I was fine with it. I was okay with it because it was rare.
Not finding okay.
I was comfortable with it. I accepted it. I liked it. Yeah,
okay.
It was well received.
Okay, so and what I'm getting at is, was it something that you just tolerated? That's his weird thing that he likes to. And was that a weird? Yeah, you tolerated a strange sexual perversion he has, and it's not. But I'm just go with my language there.
Right.
Or did you no? It was awesome. I like being recognized.
No,
by him.
yeah, it was awesome.
Okay.
It was rare then because before we had kids, my husband, he's a reserved person as it is, so it was rare then. It seems like it's amped up since we've had kids, and maybe it's because we're not able to have sex as often.
There you go.
Like
That's exactly where I was headed. So he had a thing that worked when he used it, and the work in his head, and again, he's not here to defend himself, so I'm just getting inside of his head, which is the thing I tell people never to do, but this is a radio show, so here we go. Is he knows he had one thing, or maybe 2 things, or whatever, who knows, that would make your eyes squint a little bit. Right? And now you have 2 little ones, right? How old?
No, we have 3 little ones.
3 little ones.
We have one that's almost a year, and then we have 2 twin boys that are almost 3 years.
Oh my gosh, y'all are probably getting close to the biannual sex plan right now with 3 little kids, right?
That's yes.
So you got 3 tiny ones, and you've got a husband who misses you.
Yeah.
And we can say it's about sex. He misses you, right? And of course, there's sexuality and all that, but he misses intimacy with his wife. And so, now he's doubling down on the only thing he knows. Here's the conversation that has to happen. And you did, man. I'm proud of you. First question I always ask in these situations is, have you actually told them? And you have, which is great. I think what the conversation you'll have to have is a deeper one.
Okay.
Because it's not just about the comments. Because the comments are, he's only got one path to connection with you, to intimate connection with you, right? To sex.
Right.
The path below that is, oh my gosh, we have 3 little kids. What's happening, A, to our marriage? B, like, how do we re-engage intimacy into this? And it's not through you telling me, making sexualized jokes about my body in front of my 3 little kids. That's the least sexy way. The last way to get me in bed is this.
Yes.
What you are going to have to think through is what is an environment that he can help create that would allow you to feel sexy again.
Okay.
So you tell me, what are a couple of things? Let me back. Emily Nagoski says the off's off and the on's on. And I love that. What are the things that turn this environment into a hotter environment, for lack of better terms? And what are the things that make it cold? I think, and I've talked about on the show, having dishes in the sink for some reason makes my wife, I'm out.
Yeah.
I've got to get that done before. And you know what I mean? And then there's other things that I'm like, I'm out, and vice versa, right? So I know now, I'm going to make sure the dishes are out of the sink. I'm just going to make sure that's a part of my life, right? What are some things that would be ons for you, environmentally speaking?
Kids asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, cleaned up after dinner, after the day, have all the toys away, and probably a clean bedroom.
Okay.
So that there's nothing to think about other than what's going on, not like the laundry sitting in the corner or something, like that. Those are probably the top 3. Just clean house altogether, clean space for sexual activity, and then the kids asleep.
What does he do for a living?
My husband's in the Air Force.
Air Force, okay. Is he a pilot? What does he do?
No, he's security forces.
Okay, so let's pretend he's a pilot. This may be a good analogy. You have to make sure that plane has been checked over, is all the electronics are working, all the systems are working, all the radars and all the stuff's working, and the cockpit has to be clean because those things there's a tight space there, right? They have to be clean, they have to be spotless. And then somebody's going to get in that thing and fly that plane.
Right.
And so he's got to know that there's an environment here. And if you sit down and say, hey, I need you to know, like, nothing makes me more out of the mood than looking over and seeing my 3 little boys watch you talk to me about my body.
Okay.
But here's what super would get me in the mood. If you would take bedtimes 3 nights a week, if when you walk in the door, I know you're tired, but if you just did a scan of this living room and made sure the toys were up, if when I'm taking a shower after the kids are in bed, if you would just run through this bedroom and make sure it's picked up, I'm going to rock your ever-loving world. Right? And here's the thing for you, is when we get out of step with intimacy, I wish there was another way to say this because it sounds so perfunctory, but we have to practice our way back into intimacy and practice our way back into desire. And that means you have to know, I may not be interested right now, but if we get going, I'm going to love this, right?
Okay.
And so it's you practicing, it's him practicing, it's you being very clear. Here's the offs for me, and here are the ons, and the ons are simple. You don't even have to say anything about my body anymore. I know I'm smoking hot. You married me. Let's move past that. The kids don't need to know that. And here's what would really help out. It would free my soul to be all about you and not all about this and 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 this. And dude, you'll be giving him the greatest gift any spouse can give their other partner, and that's clarity and a path to me.
Okay. I do have one question with that. My husband is really great about helping out, I'm definitely in this season of life, I'm definitely an acts of service love language receiver.
Awesome.
And so he's really awesome about doing that already. And I know you had mentioned that I'm going to have to practice getting back into intimacy and whatnot. But what about the times that he does all those things and that it's still just a no from me? Because I feel like all those things can be done, but it still could have been a really tough day with the kids because I'm at home with them all day long. And I'm just like, no. And that's like 5 days in a row because they are long, tough days.
Yeah. Is there so one, totally honor that, totally get that. Is there a way that you find rest and release through that with him or no?
And not really.
And it's important for you to be honest about that.
Right.
Because some of that may be hormonal.
Not really, and I've told him.
Yeah, and some of that may be hormonal. Some of that may be just season right now. Some of that may be, there's 100 different reasons why that might be, right?
Yeah, right.
When you get going, are you glad that you got going or no? Is it still a chore all the way through?
Depends on the time. I would say like 50-50. Like half of the time I'm like, let's get this over with. And another half of the time I'm like, all right, I'm here. Like, this is great.
What are the differences in those two?
The differences is, I would say, and not to slight my husband, he's a wonderful guy, but sometimes I just feel like he comes to me like a teenage boy and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, yeah, let's just get this over with so that you can leave me alone for 3 nights.
Yeah.
And then we can revisit this when things start peaking again for you. And I'll just deal with it then. And part of that is like, I'm the emotional regulator for 3 little ones and myself all day long. And so I'm like, you come to me like this, and even though you've done all the things, the cleaning of the house or just whatever, all those things are done, or we've taken care of them together and whatnot. It's like, I feel like I'm back to emotionally regulating for somebody else. And I don't want to do that. At the end of my day, I want to like sit down and just do or take care of the things that need to be taken care of and whatnot. There's a lot of me that's like, you deal with you and I'll deal with me, and then we can just come together. And I know that's awful, but it just feels like some nights that's what it is, and I can't. So I'm just like,
Emily, I want to give you a brief pass for a second. You have 2 3-year-olds and a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
This isn't forever.
Yeah.
This is a season. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And there is this level. I know you've talked to him. Have you ever said that, what you just said?
Yeah, I've said that before.
Have you given him another way, another path to you that's not a middle school boy or a high school boy? Like, have you articulated what that means?
I've articulated that. I feel like, well, I've said it in different ways, but it all kind of leads back to that.
Okay, I want you to think about it and think about the clarity there. Because when you say, hey, I feel like you're just coming at me like a middle school boy, my guess is, again, he's not here to defend himself. My guess is he's thinking, this is how we've always interacted. I've always told you that I think of nothing but you and I want you, and you are all into that. And now it's shifted. Mm-hmm. And suddenly he's feeling chastised for the way y'all used to communicate. And so it's not that the way you feel is wrong. The way you feel is right. It's the way you feel. Mm-hmm. And I'll say the way that he used to come at you was what you loved. It's about developing a new way. Okay. And so by saying, hey, this is no good anymore, which is not only fine, it's beautiful. All of us shift and change throughout our marriage. That's great. Mm-hmm. But it's what's the next path. And I love to hear you say, no, sometimes it's all in. Sometimes there's things about the way he comes at me or the way we end up together that are incredible. Mm-hmm. And other times they're not. Other times I feel like he's just being a middle school boy and I'm just some girl on the playground. And it's being able to say, this is what made this completely on, and this is what made this off. Okay. And he's going to have to practice new ways of coming at his wife.
Yeah.
And you are going to have to give yourself some grace, sister, because you got 2 3-year-olds and a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Everything is bananas. And expect your desire to be low because your body is taking care of 3 other humans. And in some ways, it sounds like a 4th human too.
Yeah.
Emotionally. Give yourself some space and some peace there. And remember, he's practicing in a new way of coming at his wife, and he needs your help for clarification. What are ways that best bring him to you? And you're going to get back into practicing desire. And desire is going to look different now. Like you say, when we were young and married and he would come home, smoking hot Air Force guy, it was on like Kong. And now it's different because we got 3 little ones.
Right. Okay.
Is that fair?
Yeah. That all sounds exactly right. That he is just doing what he's always practiced, and I've not given him another clear path. So,
and he might come and say, occasionally, I want to pretend like we're in college again.
Yeah.
And that will be his weird little college fantasy, and then you can decide whether you're in on that one or not, right? We all, everyone in the world's got like, what if we, whatever. And so every couple's got those kind of things to navigate and work through. But this is the moment when couples go, oh, this is going to be the rest of our lives. We're falling apart. Things are broken. This is going to be it forever. And it's not. It's just a small season. Just a small season. I love that you have these conversations. I love it. 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 The future for your marriage is bright. Just be honest with him and always look to create new paths towards each other because the old paths don't always work anymore.